Welcome to Real versus Real, the podcast that explores the accuracy of popular movies in portraying real events and figures. From ancient civilizations to modern times, Hollywood has produced countless films based on true stories. But how much of what we see on screen is actually true? Join us as we scrutinize the accuracy of their portrayals, discuss the impact they have on our understanding of the past, and review the historical context of popular movies. Now, whether you're a history buff or a movie fan, this podcast is for you. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and join us as we compare real versus real. Welcome back to Real versus Real. This week we are continuing our run with Indiana Jones with the sequel that's actually a prequel, The Temple of Doom. This movie is set in 1935, which is 1 year before Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's I don't know, a lot of people don't seem to like this one that much. I think it's pretty cool. I like the fact that there's like ritual sacrifice and like the guy is reaching his hand in somebody's chest to like pull out his heart. Like, it's just so cool. But the story begins with Indy in Shanghai, where he crosses paths with a nightclub singer named Willie Scott and everyone's favorite character, Short Round. Now, while fleeing Shanghai so they don't get murdered by Chinese gangsters, they hop a plane that takes them to a remote village of Mayapur in northern India. Now, in the village, they discovered that the sacred Sankara stones, believed to possess mystical powers, have been stolen, causing the village's children to go missing, and like all the wildlife, like all the plants and everything, to just dry up, and the rivers had turned to sand. Like the town just started falling apart. And Indiana Jones, along with Willie and Short Round, set out to retrieve the stolen stones and uncover the mystery behind their disappearance. Their journey leads them to a super sketchy Pankot Palace, where they get caught up by a secret thuggy cult led by the sinister high priest Mola Ram. The thuggies are using the children for labor and black magic to mine more Sankara stones and carry out their evil plot, which is to take over the world. Now, as the unlikely group of heroes get deeper into the Temple of Doom, they face numerous challenges, including booby traps, dangerous rituals, and intense action sequences. Along the way, they must confront their own fears, rescue the village children, and prevent the thuggies from unleashing an unspeakable evil on the world. Now, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is known for its darker tone compared to the other films in the series, exploring themes of human sacrifice, slavery, and supernatural elements. So, yeah, that's the movie. If you haven't seen it, there's going to be spoilers in here, so go watch it. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. We're going to talk about the thuggy cult, which are the guys in the cave that are sacrificing people, the Sankara stones, and then that big diamond at the beginning of the movie that initially causes Indiana Jones to end up in India. Now, the thuggies, from the Sanskrit word meaning concealment, were a cult-like group full of robbers and murderers who operated between the 13th and the 19th century in India. They were very organized with the way that they operated, and everyone had their specific role. Many have referred to them as the first mafia. The reason why I use the word cult is because of their ritualistic assassinations carried out in the name of the Hindu goddess Kali, which in Sanskrit means she who is black or she who is death. She's usually depicted as either black or blue, partially or entirely naked, with a long tongue, multiple arms, and a skirt or girdle made of human arms, along with a necklace of human heads and a decapitated head in one of her hands. She is also the wife of the god Shiva. Now, the thuggies believed that they were acting on behalf of Kali and maintaining balance of good and evil in the world. Now, the way the thuggies operated was they would join a group of travelers, gaining their trust, and then in the middle of the night, they would strangle them with a handkerchief or noose or something like that. They would then rob and bury them, leaving no trace of the bodies. The thuggies, or thugs, and yes, that's where that term comes from, they were supposedly responsible for more than 2 million deaths, but there's no real way to know the number since there are no real records accounting for the deaths. They were very organized and had a code by which they operated. Like I said, they all had their own role. Whether it be charming unknown travelers, acting as a lookout, or being the actual executioner. They also didn't just kill everybody, and they couldn't rob people without performing the ritual sacrifice first. Now, like I said, they weren't allowed to kill everybody, so women were believed to be the incarnation of Kali, so they were off limits. And they wouldn't kill the sick as they were considered to be unworthy sacrifice. So if you're a healthy dude, you're done for. It doesn't say anything about whether or not they sacrificed kids, but I would imagine that would be off limits too. I'm not sure. Now, the movie takes place in 1935, so the Thuggies weren't around at that time. They were basically extinct by the 1870s. While the movie changed a lot about the Thuggies, they did get some of the important details of their culture and their devotion to Kali correct. And the way that they made their sacrifices are completely exaggerated. Their devotion to Kali is spot on. Having a cool secret cave and ripping the hearts out of people and lowering them into a fire pit was really cool, but that's just not how they got down. While they were very ritualistic with the way that they operated, there's no proof that they had any magic stones in real life, but in the movie, there are 5 of these stones in total, supposedly given to Sankara by the Hindu god Shiva on Mount Kailasa for the purpose of battling evil. The stones had a diamond core that would glow when they were next to one another to symbolize Shiva emerging from a fiery pillar. Now, Sankara used the stones to convert most of the country of India to worship Shiva. And when he died, the stones became lost due to being sold by mercenaries or over hundreds of years. By 1930, 2 of them were found to be buried beneath the palace of Pankot, while a second pair ended up in the hands of the Thuggy high priest's son, Mola Ram. The final stone wound up in the small village of Mayapur, as seen in the movie. The stone was a sign of prosperity and fertility for the town. Once the stone was stolen, all of the plants died, and the rivers turned to sand, and the children in the village went missing. Now, it sounds like the stones really did have the power of Shiva encased within them. Too bad they weren't real. They are made up, but are loosely based on the real-life lingam stones, or more commonly known as Shivan Lingam gemstones. Lingam is a symbol of endless power of the universe, creativity, uniqueness, a sense of acceptance, and creation. They are very important in Hinduism and Buddhism, where they are a symbol of worship of Lord Shiva. Well, you can purchase these crystals all over the world. No matter how close you bring them together, they just aren't going to start glowing or set your bag on fire like they did in the movie. Yeah, in the movie, it was just a cool thing that like at the end where they're escaping the tunnel, like they're climbing up the ladder, and Indy's got the bag, and they just start glowing, and they set the thing on fire, and the guy reaches out to try to grab one, and that causes him to fall to his death. It's not going to happen. While crystals do serve many purposes and they have believed to have their healing properties and other different spiritual uses, they don't harness the power of Shiva. They're not going to let you take over the world. And then for the last piece, we have that diamond in the beginning of the movie where Indy is haggling with the Chinese gangster over a rather large diamond, and then a huge fight breaks out because the gangster decides to cheat Indy out of his money and the diamond. Now, as far as why this scene is even in the movie, other than to just introduce the female protagonist and Short Round and give Indy a reason to have to hop a plane in an attempt to escape, is beyond me. Now, the original name of the diamond in the movie was supposed to just be the Monk Diamond, which is kind of boring given, how exciting these movies get to be. But in 2008, after the release of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom Jr. novel, it was confirmed to be the Peacock's Eye Diamond, which was speculated by fans for a long time to have been the name of it the whole time. Now, the Monk Diamond is just Hollywood fiction, but the Peacock's Eye Diamond is also known as the Koh-i-Noor Diamond, which was it sat atop a peacock shaped throne along with another sapphire in India. And that actually exists. It now resides as the centerpiece for the crown jewels in Britain. And how it ended up in Britain's hands is just a long, long story of it originally being in India, sitting atop the throne, and then another person coming in and grabbing it after there was an invasion, and he ends up in Afghanistan where it's there for a while, and then it makes its way back to India, and the British are just they hear about this and they're like, they want it. They want this diamond for their own because it's like a symbol of power, like only the pure should have it, that kind of stuff. Very Arkenstone, like if you've ever read The Hobbit, it's kind of got that same tone under why the British wanted it. And it became their main focus for a long time to acquire it and own it for themselves. But they had to wait. They couldn't just go in and take it. So after it ended up back in India, they had to wait through a couple generations of different rulers until finally they figured out a way to have it signed over. They made a treaty with this 10-year-old priest or 10-year-old king, or however you want to say it, that the diamond would then belong to Great Britain. And that's now where it resides. That's where it's been for a very, very long time. And like Afghanistan wants it back. India wants it back. The British are like, nah, we're not going to give it to you. Like, it's ours. You signed it over. Like, sucks to suck. And the reason why I like saved the opening scene for the end is just because there is a lot of history with the relationship between India and Great Britain. There was a lot of bad stuff done from Great Britain to India, and it would take so long to go through it and get every detail, and it's just entirely too much history surrounding that to really kind of get into on a podcast about movies. So if that's something that interests you, you're more than welcome to go out and look for it and read it and learn about it yourself. But yeah, so that's our episode. I hope you guys learned something new. Stay tuned, because coming up next is The Last Crusade, which is probably my favorite out of all the movies. Thank you so much for listening or watching. Please like and subscribe. If there's any movies that you think that I should go over, feel free to drop a comment. Again, thanks for listening, and see you the next time on Real versus Real. Peace out, guys. Outro. Cats.